The Healer, and here's the truth about being psychic. Okay? Being psychic is not for the weak soul, baby. It's really not. Okay? I chose this in this lifetime to come back as myself. Okay? And I wouldn't even say I'm like so gung ho on the word psychic. All right, I would say I'm a healer. That's why I call myself Bob the Healer. But having psychic abilities, I feel like the word psychic has so many negative connotations attached to it, and I don't want to really subscribe to that. But I can just tell you what it's like truly to be psychic, what it means to truly have intuitive gifts and abilities, what it's been like for me, what it's like having relationships with people being psychic, and then also being in a relationship with someone who's psychic. People have told me their experiences. So let's get into it. But before we get into it, make sure you are subscribed. Go ahead and hit that button right below me. And let's get to know each other on this channel. It's very intuitive, intimate, and transformative. I am Bob the Healer, and I keep it real, baby. I keep it real. I keep it 100, and I do not sugarcoat things. So I may not be the reader for you, or I may be the reader for you, but if I am, go ahead and hit subscribe. Check out some of my free readings as well, and let's get started. So, how did I discover I was psychic? How did I know that I was, intuitive? Well, I think you just know when you know. You just know when you know, right? When I was a little girl, I used to have imaginary friends. And really, they were spirits that I would speak to. It was like a mom and a daughter. I remember them right now, like visually seeing them, which we'll get into what my gifts are like and how they show up, whatever. And hopefully this is helpful to someone who's struggling to understand their gifts. This is what this video really is for. So as a little girl, I used to have imaginary friends, but they used to be like spirit guides. And they would really like tell me a lot of things, especially about my like friends or my family members, my mom, my dad. Um, I also have the gift of mediumship and used to see my relatives when they would pass on. And I specifically remember one time when I was going, I was hanging out in the back seat. Sorry, y'all. I'm like visually seeing it. I was hanging out in the back seat of like somebody's car, one of my relatives' car, as we were heading to a funeral. I had to be like 4, 5. And I visually saw my Aunt Imogene right next to the car, just riding by. And I was like, what? And everybody around me were so sad and headed to a funeral. And because I was young, our family was like, no, you're too young to go to this funeral. You stay back. And I hung out with like another aunt. Or a cousin, I can't remember. But I do remember seeing her right outside that car. And I remember telling my aunt, I'm like, this, we're going to whose funeral? She's right there. Like, what are you talking about? And I was just so confused as a little girl because I could see her, but nobody else could see her. And my mom just kind of like, what are you talking about? I think a lot of the times that I had psychic downloads, the people around me were a little shocked, but they did not really emphasize it or be like, oh, what is wrong with her? They just kind of were like, they shrugged it off. Or this is my perception of it. So there's a few incidents where I just knew something was different about me, and the types of questions I would ask my family members were just like, a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old would just not ask that. I was deeply into my relationship with God by like 5, for sure. I was asking questions about, if we pray, if we all pray at the same time, does God hear us? Individually or at the same time. I had a deep interest into God and who God was, and God knew me, okay? God knew me personally. And I remember going to like a Catholic church, and at 5, I didn't even go through like any type of Catholicism or Catholic school or none of that. I mean, I did go to a Catholic high school, but I didn't go through the process to get communion. in the Catholic Church. And I remember at 5, them just giving it to me. The lady just gave me wine at 5. Like, what? And I was so little, there was no mistake that I was 5 years old. There was just certain experiences that I was being ushered into my faith really, really early. I had a desire for it. And I could see spirits. I could see those who had passed on, mainly my dead relatives. And I just had an uncanny connection with the unknown, okay, with the things beyond the veil. I remember also like being pulled by like there was this, okay, I'm not even gonna bring it up. I've had some weird experiences as a child, really, really as a child. I think it started that way where my gifts were just coming to me really, really deeply as a kid. And I think that's where they start, because we are not hiding ourselves from our gifts. Like, they're so clear, they're so apparent when you're a child. Children are so honest. And as a kid, I was so intuitive. I used to sit and nurture my dad and like my stepdad. We would sit and have like conversations that were very healing, and I would lead them and ask certain questions about his childhood. Like, very much of what I do now as a healer, I was doing at like 7. So it's always just been in me. And early signs that I would say that you are a psychic is you're very sensitive. If you are a medium, you may get experiences from elders that have passed on, and mainly because you're comfortable with them. You know, the spirit realm doesn't want to scare us, despite what social media and the movies want to tell us. Our spirit guides really want us to be comfortable. And so they may come to us in the form of our past elders or similar figures, animals. You know, I had a lot of pets growing up, dogs specifically. And I did, like, out of all my mom's kids, I was the one who had the dog. My dog was like my spirit guide, and we were so close and intuitive, and like I could read, because I have telepathy, I could read my dog's brain on what it needed and how to nurture it. So yeah, I've had various different experiences. So you'll notice as a kid that you're just very sensitive, you're intuitive to your surroundings, to your family, to past elders if you're a medium. And you may also be someone who just says the truth. Like, I got in trouble so much as a kid for being honest. And it would be things like, there would be an elephant in the room, and I would be the one to be like, y'all know there's an elephant, right? It's like right there. It's standing right there. And everyone around me would know, but everyone's like, Sean, you don't have to say that. Like, quiet. So I didn't get that. I didn't really have a filter, right? I still don't. Where truth is just something that spirit will speak through me because I am honest. Like, I don't hold back. And, you know, the Holy Spirit is helping me to edify how I say things, especially in my readings. But baby, sometimes you got to hear how you hear it. But, you know, I'm learning and I'm growing. So that's really how I knew that I was psychic. And some experiences that I kind of went through as a kid really shaped my connection to my gifts, because I was always very curious about getting to know more of my intuitive abilities, or being able to be the one that could pray in the friend group in 3rd grade. And like, I was just very healing, and always knew that. People around me always knew that. But I don't think anyone ever thought like, oh, she's going to be a healer. I didn't even think that at all. I wanted to be a writer, which is crazy. Okay, so what's it like to truly experience a psychic download? From my experience, and I can only speak from my experience, it's a very transformative state, right? You're like in a trance. Okay. For me, I'll go kind of into my gifts after this, but I'll just explain. Maybe I should do this before. I'll give you a little bit of both. Okay. But make sure that you like and subscribe. If you haven't, you're tripping. Because one of y'all I know hasn't subscribed yet. So subscribe. Okay, so my psychic gifts include being clairaudient. So getting into the clairs. So there's like 7 different clairs, and I'm learning them. So your girl got notes. Clairvoyance. That is one of my gifts. That is just like the ability to see images, symbols, and get messages through visions. Okay, so clairvoyance, you can like visualize it. Clairaudience, audible. You can hear a message. I also have that as well. That was one of my first gifts as I got older. And as I noticed as I got older, and you may notice this as well because some of you guys are psychics, I started to develop different gifts. Yes, so as a child, I was very clairvoyant. As a teenager, I was very clairvoyant. But in my 20s, okay, and your girl just turned 30. Thank you, I know I look good. In my 20s, baby, clairaudience was just like popping, and it was so uncomfortable because everything was heightened in my senses. So, and in my hearing, like I could hear things miles away that I had never been able to hear before. I was like, what? My hearing's never been this good. But I started to get downloads and hear the voice of God through sleep in my dreams, as well as sometimes in waking day. Like if I'm doing a reading for someone, I can hear like one experience, and I'm sorry, I'm just sharing stories so you can get an idea. One experience that I had was I was out with my girlfriends. We were at a brunch, and a guy came up to us and was just talking, and I heard the spirit say his birthday is X, Y, and Z. He's a Gemini. And so I had asked him his birthday, and before he could say it, I said it, and he was like, how did you know? And I was just like, I don't know, I'm psychic. I love to say that because people think I'm joking. And he's like, what? No, I'm serious. And so he pulls out his ID, and it's literally his birthday. So those are the types of examples or types of experiences I've had with clairaudience, is just like hearing it directly. And sometimes it could be a room full of people loud, but I'll hear it very softly what that voice is saying. And for me, it's always been like a feminine voice. So clairaudience is one of my gifts. Clairsentience is just being able to like sense the energy in the room, the energy in the environment, sense that something's about to pop off. One of my friends we went out to like this event in LA, and she's clairsentient, and she didn't know, and I told her, and I was like, girl, we were at the end of the event. She's like, mind you, everything was going great. Okay, everything was great at the event. But by the end of the event, she's like, we need to go. Something's about to happen. And I'm like, okay. She's a Cancer. If you're a Cancer and you're watching this, you're very intuitive, okay? And she's like, something's about to just pop off. And I was like, we need to follow your lead. So we left, and about 20 minutes later, we saw on the news that something happened. So clairsentience is kind of like that, where you just sense something, the energy's not right, or it could be good. Like you could just sense something good's about to happen, a blessing's on the way. Like, I just feel like I'm walking into a miracle, you know? So there's clairsentience, claircognizance, okay? This is just this inner, clear, intuitive knowing, okay? People may come to you for advice, and you just know exactly what to say. Or they may not even come to you. They may just be like, you may ask somebody or see somebody and be like, I just know something's wrong. Something's going on. Something's going on. And, turns out their father just died, or something, something happened with their finances. Like, who knows? These are the things that can happen when you have claircognizance. Okay, now these are the ones that I didn't really know about that I had to research, so bear with me. Clairalliance, which is the ability to perceive smells that are not present in the environment. Oh, yeah. I haven't had that, but I know some psychics who are like that, where like if you're doing a reading or your memory comes back up, you may smell a certain scent, or vice versa. Like in life, you could smell something, it could bring back a memory. Or it could bring in a message for someone or for yourself. Clairgustance. Okay, I'm going to put these in the comments, y'all. The ability to taste flavors that are not present and often used to gain insight. So I don't necessarily know how that would play out, but Maybe you identify one of those clairs. And lastly, clair telepathy. This is something I share and have. This is the ability to transmit or receive thoughts from other people. This happens a lot for me. And people are like, oh my God, you're reading my mind. Or I can send a message to someone who's like, I've been connecting with recently through telepathy, and they'll just kind of like think it's their thought. It's not funny because it became so constant in my life, right? That I used to think, oh, I just have a connection with someone. But no, it's really like I would be sending that thought to them and they're like, oh, let's do this. And it's like, yeah, I was thinking that too. Or I'll think it for them. Either way, clair telepathy is just having like this connection with another person or with multiple people where you're sharing a clear thought and idea. And most people experience this a lot of the time where it's like, oh, get out of my head. I was thinking that. That's a clair telepathy. Or understanding how someone thinks without them even having to say anything. That happens to me a lot, especially with like in dating. I can totally read between the lines. Okay. So what's it like to experience a download? All of those in one. I'm not joking. What's it like to have a psychic download is just like truly transformative. So for me, like I said, I'm clairaudient. Okay, so that means I hear my messages. I'm clairsentient, so I can sense it. So I may feel it in my body as well. And I am clairvoyant, so I may visually see it. 90% of the time, I'm visually seeing it, okay? 90% of the time, it's like a visual story or a movie playing out in my head. It's like a daydream, right? And I used to get a lot of downloads through daydreams. I used to get a lot of downloads through music because I'm clairaudient. For instance, like a song would play on the radio and it would be exactly how somebody felt about me, or exactly how I felt about someone, or a situation that was happening in my life. Like it just instantly connected. Or I'd pray about something and it would come up in a song instantly. Visually, I would see it through my television, through movies. I've had scary, and I say scary because it freaked me out when I was first getting my gifts in my 20s. I would get daydreams visually. That's how they started, is like daydreams. Outside of my mediumship as a kid, I would get daydreams, and I'd be like just staring off into nowhere, and people like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just like having a download," but I didn't know that's who it was. And then they would start to pop up on television and pop up in like my media. So what I mean by that is I would see it on my television, in my TV. Like if I was dating someone and they popped up on my television, okay? Instance like that. Or I would be going through a problem in life, and that exact scenario and how to solve that would be in a TV episode, and that would be the storyline that I randomly clicked on. So that's how I would get messages. I'd also get them through symbols and signs. So simple things like journaling. Okay, I want to see a blue butterfly or a purple butterfly to mean that this person is going to message me, or this situation is going to turn around. I want to see a rainbow to see that, I'm going to get through this circumstance. Like whatever I needed to see as a symbol or a sign of guidance, I would see it, take note of it, and track it. And that would become like an intuitive way that I could communicate with the Holy Spirit. Bible verses. Bible verses. Bible verses are truly magical. They really are. They have miracles sprinkled in them. And I would use Bible verses all the time to create the plan and the vision that God would give me. Like God would visually give me something like, this is what I want you to do. But I would have no steps on how to get there. And it would be like, And so, a part of my gifts would be manifestation, and it would be like, okay, let's use a Bible verse to manifest what it is that God wants me to do, or what Bible verse relates to the circumstance or situation. So various different ways I would get downloads. Now I certainly use oracle cards, tarot cards as well to get downloads, and those help mainly with my clairvoyance, because visual imagery is so helpful and getting straight to the message. and I don't have to sit there and struggle to see it, because having a download is like, how can I explain this? It's like being tuned into a radio, right? Being tuned into a radio station, and you got to make sure you're on the right dial so that you can hear the right message clearly. And sometimes if your gifts are not tuned in, or you are not harnessing your gifts or sharpening your gifts, it's hard to hear the message very clearly. It really, really is. And it starts to feel staticky and wiry, and it's like, ah. And visually, it becomes blurry, okay? And you can't really see in your third eye what is to come, or what you would like to see visually if you're manifesting, because things are just not clear. And so tools, spiritual tools, have been very helpful to me in sharpening my gifts. Tools that have helped me are, like I said, are prayer, Bible scriptures, crystals, oracle cards, tarot cards, music, going outdoors. Yes, being in beautiful visual sceneries are like the best for my gifts, and I have to constantly do that. Art as well, baby. Art gets my third eye open. I love art. Okay. Also, just like anything aesthetically pleasing, truly, because I'm a Venus and Libra. I love it, and it helps me to tune into my gifts. And like color, color. I get messages through color as well. I heal through color as well. So yes, my gifts are very extensive, but I've also taken the time over like the last 10 years to really sharpen my gifts. And I still don't know everything about my gifts, okay? They're still going to get stronger, and I'm going to get more intuitive abilities as I teach myself, learn myself, and, harness these gifts. So understanding your psychic gifts takes time. It takes a lot of time, patience, all right? Like I said, there were so many issues that I went through when I first developed my gifts. Sound issues. Because I was getting heightened senses and heightened sound, I could hear everything so clearly. And I'd be working a job, and I could hear somebody clicking their pen, and I could hear somebody tapping their foot, and it would bother me because that's all I could hear. And so what I would have to do is bring headphones to work sometimes. I would have to just kind of like learn to tune out and tune in. And that took a lot of meditation. That took a lot of patience. When I was in high school and I was getting my clairvoyant gifts, lights really would bother me, and I would get a lot of migraines. Bright lights, the lights in school, and it would just be my third eye opening and learning to like explore itself. And at that time I was doing a lot of research, probably a little too fast. And so learning to slow down and go at a right pace for your own psychic gifts, and they'll tell you, your body will start to react to the pace that you're going. If you're too slow, it'll be like, come on, baby, speed up. You're a little too strong for this now. You're a little too strong for this. I would also just be very moody. Like, I didn't understand the cycles of my spirit, of my body, understanding how to move with the flow of the moon, how to move with the energies of each astrological season. And I would have a lot of resistance. And so that created a lot of moodiness and repeated cycles in my behavior. And isolation. Like, I was isolated a lot in college, baby. I was very popular in high school and in college, but I did not like to be around people. I wanted to be by myself. I truly did. I'm still like that, honestly. Truthfully, honestly, I'm still like that. I'm very sensitive, and so I'll pick up on other people's energies. Even when it's unspoken, I can pick up on when people throw in shade my way. And I'm not just talking about regular shade. I'm talking about somebody could really be smiling at me and like doing all the motions, but I know how they really feel. And it's like, I can't hang around you. I can't, because you're fake. Like, relationships become really, I started to lose a lot of friendships and a lot of relationships being intuitive and psychic, because I could read between the lines. When you know, baby. And what you know. Okay? Okay. So isolation happened, and I tended to, instead of going within, I was looking without to other people to really help me and love me and nurture me. And it was really pathetic. It was sad. It was truly sad. I hate to say that, but it was the truth. It was sad. And it wasn't until my gift started to develop even more that I recognized the power within myself, that I recognized the power within my abilities. And being alone in solitude, truly you will learn that the mystic, the healer, the psychic has to be alone, has to go through this transformative phase and process to get to know yourself deeply and intimately and get to know God intimately. Man, losing those relationships brought me so much closer to God and my intuitive abilities and trusting my intuition. Baby, okay, going through homelessness, and that's in another video. We will get to that soon and how I transformed and transmuted out of homelessness. But that experience really, really, really helped me to follow my intuitive abilities, gifts, and how to strengthen my prayer life. Okay, prayer is so important, powerful, and magical. All right. So in closing, if you have any questions, all right, if you have any questions about what it's like to be psychic, go ahead and send me an email at iambobthehealer@gmail.com. If you'd like to book a psychic reading, you can send an email there as well, and let's schedule a session. Make sure you have subscribed and comment below how you resonated with this. If you shared any experiences to my psychic experiences, because I know you did. Baby, I know you did. And if you resonated with how to tell if you're psychic, because I gave some really good tips with the clairvoyance, and I also will comment those below. And thank you for joining and watching, and have a blessed day.